What's up, guys? We are going to continue with this amazing project on which we are basically creating a website, a web application on which we are going to register user, create products, create subscriptions, create a lot of things. So yeah, in this video, what we are actually going to do is that we are going to create our first cloud function. And this function, what it's going to do is that it is going to register a user. But also, we are going to call that function here from the front, from the web application. So yeah, let's get to that. So first of all, here is where we left this. We have here all the information, and now we are ready to call a function. But how do we call a function? Remember that when we initialized the project, we had here this functions folder. Let me close all this. Here is where we have to create everything. Let's go to the index file. And here in the index file, we have to delete everything. We are going to delete everything. So here, we are going to put here const admin. We are going to import firebase admin. So let me put here firebase admin. Check that you have it here, because if you do not have it here, it means that you have to install it. And this is important. If you want to install any dependency here inside the functions, you have to go to the functions folder and put npm I. If you do it in the previous folder, in the project folder, you are going to install it for the web application. So have that in mind. Okay, so we import firebase admin. Okay, and now we are going to call admin initialize app. That's right, perfect. Okay, so now what we have to do is that we are going to put here export.users. From a users module that we have just created, we are going to create a function called register. And here we are going to import that function, but this is something that we are going to do now. One thing, it is super ultra mega it is super mega important that you write this here in the index.js file. And this file has to be named like this. You cannot change this file. Perfect. So what is the thing that we have to do right now? We have to start building that function. It is going to be a v2 function. So yeah, let's create here source. And now let's create inside source users. And inside users, we are going to create the function called register.js. Okay, perfect. So how do we actually create this function? First of all, we have to have in mind several things. There are a lot of type of function. This function is going to be one that is going to be easily called from the web application. It is going to be an on-call function. We have on-call on HTTP request, you have on document update, you have a lot of things, you have queues. But yeah, this is just going to be a simple function that is going to be called from the front. So yeah, this type is called on-call. So here, we are going to import on-call like this from require. That's right. Here we are going to put firebase functions v2. You are going to go to v2 https. Don't worry, because in the future we are going to create v1 functions. And yeah, okay, we have now this imported. So we are going to start writing the function. Also, we are going to import another thing, which is info. This is basically a function that will allow us to log information. We are going to put here require and firebase functions, and we are going to put here logger. That's right. We have here info. Perfect. Also, finally, we are going to import again admin. So we are going to put here require firebase admin. Okay, now it is time to start developing the function. So here we have to do one thing. We are going to put module exports, because we have to export the function, and we later will import it here. Module exports, and we are going to put on call, and this receives a lot of things. Check this, that first we have the options. So here in the version 2, options are basically an object. So for example, we have to set the region to Europe West 2. That is our region. Remember this because later we are going to use it again. And now here we have to create the callback that is going to actually create our user, that is going to actually do whatever we want to do. So for example, here we have async. This function is going to be asynchronous. You can create it synchronously. It doesn't matter. And here we are going to do the logic, everything. So here we receive an object, let's say, I don't know, request or whatever, but we have to destructure the data. So we have to check that, okay, from the data, we receive an email. Okay, by the way, you can also register users from the front. There is a function, but yeah, we are going to use here the back. Here we have the email that by default is going to be that. We have the password that by default is going to be this, and we have the name that by default is going to be this, and we take all these from data. Okay, this is important because all these values are falsy. What it means is that if I say if not email, if it is an empty string, it is going to say that it is false. If not email, if not password, or not name, let's put here the nots, then we have an error. So for example, here, to basically say that we have an error, we can put here info instead. Well, usually here it is better to put error, and here we are going to say email or password or name invalid, so that we have later that in the log. Don't worry, we will check the log later. This video, I'm realizing that it's going to be a little bit long. So now here we are going to throw an error so that we know that there is an error, but we have to import errors. So here in this on call, we are going to call the HTTPS error. There are a lot of codes for the errors, because here, check this out. If I call this function, there are two types. The code, there are a lot of codes. For example, this one is invalid argument, and here you put the message. So for example, we are going to copy all this message, copy all this, and we are going to put it here. That's right, that's perfect. So now it is time to start creating things in our database and in the authentication system. For this, we are going to create the auth object. From admin, take the auth, that's right. And we are going to do something very similar. This is going to be db, because it is going to be the database. And we are going to have here admin.firestore, that's right. Also, we are going to create a variable uid, which is going to store the ID of the user that we have just created. Okay, so first of all, well, let's remove this. What do we have to do? What we have to do is that we have to create the user first in the authentication system. How do we do this? We are going to put here auth create user. That's right. And here it is asking us for the properties. It is as simple as putting here email, password, and you don't really need to put anything else. But since we have the name, we are going to put the name, but this is not name, it's display name, and we put now the name. If the value and the name is the same, so for example here, email, you don't need to put this. That's why here I'm leaving it like this, but here this name is not exactly this one. So yeah, perfect. So now we have this user created. We have to call await because this is an asynchronous function. It returns a promise, and this returns a user, which is going to have the UID. So now that we have the user, what we actually have to do is that we have to store the document. So here I am going to put, okay, db, we are going to access a collection. We are going to access the users collection, and we are going to create a new document, but this document is going to have the UID, the user UID that we have created, so that we have the same IDs in the authentication and in the Firestore database. And here we call create. This is how we create a document with a specific ID. Perfect. So now what do we have to send? We have to send here email. We are going to say name, and you can put here whatever you want. So for example, here I'm going to put role client, something like this. So guys, for the function, this is more than enough. Now we have to import that function. So remember, how do we import it? Require, and check this out. This helps you a lot. src users, and now we go to register. That's it. And now we have to deploy the function. How do we actually deploy the function? Okay, well, you can deploy everything by putting here firebase deploy and pressing enter. We are not going to do this. What we are actually going to do is that we are going to execute one command that I have. Yeah, here we have it. Firebase deploy -- only functions. So we execute this command. This is going to take time. This thing takes time. Okay, we have an error, and is that okay? I have to log in. So for example, if you are in several projects, you have to firebase log out and log in. Okay, we are going to execute this command with your account and all this, and I come back in 1 second. Okay guys, now the command is being, well, the function is being deployed, all this, everything is looking fine. So while this, we are going to start creating all the logic in the front so that we can call this function. How do we actually do this? So here you can see that we have several files. The file that we have to create is called firebase exports. I thought that I have created that. No, I have not created this file yet. So here, what I'm going to put is, okay, at this level in the src folder of the front, remember, okay, we have a problem. Usually you have problems the first time and all that. So yeah, just come here and try again, don't worry. But yeah, so here we are going to put firebase exports.js, and here we have to do several things. First of all, we have to instantiate the functions. So here we are going to put functions, and we are going to call a function called get functions. Okay, we have to import it, so it is imported from, okay, you can check that now the deploy worked fine. You can import that, putting here get functions from, and here we have to put firebase, and from firebase we are going to put here functions. That's it. Now we have this function, and indeed we have to import another thing, which is HTTPS callable. Okay, now we have the functions, but remember that here in the firebase config.js we were exporting the app, so we have to import that app. So here we are going to put just app, and yeah, here we have it. So we have the app, and now very important, set here your region, because maybe sometimes it not, sometimes yes, you have errors with the course because it is actually trying to call a function in USA or wherever, which is not your region. So here we are going to put Europe West 2. Okay, now we have this. We have now to instantiate this function that we created. So we are going to put here export const users register HTTPS callable, okay, this type of function. This is for the on-call functions. We send the functions object, and now check this out. Here we have to put the name of the function. The name is the following, okay? Here we are in users register. So you have to put here users register. But how do we check the email in a better way? Check this out. If we go to Firebase, okay, let's go here to Firebase. Since the function is already deployed, let me go here to the IT project, IT serverless, and let's go here to the functions product. You have here users register, and there is a problem. No, it couldn't be implemented. Let's redeploy this. Let's remove all this, but check the name, users register. Let's remove this, and let's open the terminal again, and let's deploy the function. Okay, so here we have the function. Now we are going to start creating services. So for example, we are going to have a service for the users, and in this service we are going to be able to edit and do a lot of stuff. So yeah, we are going to put here services, and we are going to create another folder which is going to be users, and here we are going to put not a folder, a file, users.js. So here we have to basically take that function, that register function. This is going to be export const register, and we are going to put async. We are going to receive a name, an email, and a password, and we are going to put here return await, and we are going to call the function that we just exported in the Firebase exports. So here we are going to put users register. That's right. And we have to send here an object with all that, with name, email, and password. So now it is time to go to our form. Let's go to the register form. And here in the handle submit, instead of sending this, we are going to call this function. Let's make this async. And we are going to call await. And we are going to call register. Check that here, instead of function, this is going to this. You don't have this here in the web application. You have to go to the service. Here we have the service. And check that out. We need the name, which is name. We need the email, which is email. And we need the password, which is password. Okay, so let me wait until this function gets uploaded and we come back. Okay, it finished, finally. So check that here we have the function. How do we check the logs? Here we can go to visualize registers or whatever you have in English. And look, here these are the logs. So for example, if you have an error, you will have here a log. So for example, this was an error on the deploy. Now it is fixed. And yeah, now everything has been deployed well. You can check that I didn't change anything here in the code. So yeah, you just have to retry to deploy, and that's it. Here I realized I forgot something. I have to put a wait here to create the document in the database. So yeah, I'm going to redeploy the function, and yeah, we see each other in a second. Okay guys, the function has been redeployed. So now remember, we are here and we are going to register a user. Let's see if it works. So let's go back to the web application, not this one. Yeah, this one. Let's update the page. Okay, and let's put whatever. Let's put here, I don't know, Kevin test. Here we are going to leave this email, and here you have to put a password that is bigger than 6 characters. We are not handling errors yet, but we will later. So for example, I'm going to put here this I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's click on register. Okay, we are not having any feedback. We have not created that yet, but it looks like everything has worked because here we don't have any errors. So how do we check if everything has worked? Let's go here. Let's go to the logs. Let's update the page and let's look for errors. Okay. Perfect. It doesn't look like we have an error. Okay. Callable request, verification page. Okay. And to check if everything works, let's go here to the authentication and let's see if we have a user. Check this out. We have this new user, K2, was created today, this ID, and let's go to the Firestore database, and we have here this. So for example, I can create another one. So for example, let me put here K3, Kevin test 2, register. Boom! We can see on real time that we have this user, and if we go back to the authentication, we have these users created. We are now creating the users, and check this out. This ID is the same one as the one here created. So guys, this was a very useful video. We have learned how to create from the back users, creating documents. We have now called a function. And yeah guys, in the next videos we are going to start improving all this stuff. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Give it a like, share, subscribe, and we see each other in the next one.